EarthtonesGirl Channel. My name is Denise, and this is Earth Vlog number 72. Hi! I am back finally. Today is Saturday, February 25th, and I'm here. I haven't been here since January 6th, I believe. It's been a while, and I'm going to tell you why. My first episode for 2023 was so full of enthusiasm. I was so excited. I had a shop update coming. I had plans for classes and my newsletter and all of these wonderful things. And the shop update, I believe, was a couple of days later, a couple of days after the podcast aired or was uploaded. And I made the announcement in multiple places that the shop was going to be updated, etc. So the update happens, everything sells out. I'm so excited. I'm really proud. Yay, this is great. I've got all these wonderful orders to pack. And then it started. What is it? It was what felt at the time like a barrage of criticism, comments, negativity, complaints. Why didn't you post more about the shop update? Why didn't you post when the shop update was going to happen? You should have posted it in more places. You should have done this. You should have done that. And then it was, I didn't get the yarn. I've been waiting and this isn't fair. And, you need to increase the production and you need to have more yarn available. And then I got the opposite. Can you do us all a favor and save all of the talking and the shop news and all that stuff to the end of the episode and just get right to the knitting? I honestly... So it continued. Then the first newsletter, the announcement of the newsletter that there was going to be one, went out. And people signed up and they were so excited. And some people once I said there was a newsletter, some people went over to my website and signed up for it. Then there was another wave of people. I think wave is better than barrage. Then there was another wave of people saying, well, I signed up for the newsletter. Why am I not getting it? What's happening? Well, how is this working? Why am I not getting it? Then it was me replying and explaining how a newsletter works. You sign up for a newsletter in that moment, and then you wait for the next one. Usually past newsletters are not resent to new people that have signed up. So there was answering that question multiple times. Then there is a person who's been leaving comments, and this person reappeared with what she calls extremely constructive criticism, basically saying I talk too much and I this and I do that wrong and this wrong and that wrong and why do you have to talk? And she's so disappointed. Okay. Do you see where I'm going with this? Okay. So, and then I even got a comment, one more. I got a bunch, but the ones that really stood out was, like I said before, rearranged the order of how you talk on the podcast. And then another one was, so the content's really great, but your resolution isn't really good. And you used to upload in this speed, and now you're uploading in this speed. Do you mind re-uploading in this speed? You guys, to make a very long story short, I just felt done. I felt so discouraged and so disheartened. And it was emails, it was comments here on the channel, it was DMs on Instagram, it was messages on Ravelry, and just people were just coming at me. And it's so interesting as I don't like, it sounds trendy to use this term, but as a content creator, you get compliments and you get feedback and you get interactions, which is the whole point of this. And they can all be positive. You can have 30, 40 comments and they're all positive and they're great. And then there's that one that gets to you. And most of the time I can shake it off, but this was more than one. This was just, it felt like I was just being pursued. And honestly, like I said just now, I felt done. I felt like, why am I doing this? And the whole point of my first episode was remembering my why. That was my phrase. And I felt so strongly attached to that. And I remembered my why. Why was I doing this? Because of the love of it, because of wanting to share more. I had so much more that I wanted to share between here on the channel, in classes, in the newsletter, and with this, you're doing that wrong, you're doing this wrong, and do it this way, and I'm not getting what I want, and I want, and I want, and I want. And I just thought, you know what? Fundamentally, my why is that I love to make and I love to create. And yes, I do love sharing it, but that's not the ultimate. I love making. So I just kind of went quiet and got my orders out and talked to some friends and just took a little time to sort of, sorry, I'm moving my camera. Just took a little time, I think, to get my head back in the game. And what it boils down to is respecting a person's space. It started to feel like people were coming into my home after being invited and saying, oh, wow, why do you have a blue couch? I don't like that blue couch. I think the couch should be red. And why do you have white curtains at the window? Well, that's boring. I think if the curtains were a light blue to match the couch, that would be so much better. And instead of having the couch over by the window, why don't you put the couch on the other side of the room? I can guarantee you that most of the comments and most of the emails and most of the messages would never have been delivered face to face. If these people were standing right in front of me, no. Oh, you're doing, love the channel, love this, love that. They wouldn't have said these things to my face, but the anonymity and of the screen seems to have empowered people to just say what they want and tell me what they want. And it boiled down to people just being a little bit rude and me deciding that I didn't want to handle that anymore. But I also didn't want it to keep me from being here. So after some soul searching and not nearly as much knitting as I would have liked, I just decided, okay, I'm going to record how I feel because I think honesty is really, really, really important. And just ask people to be a little bit more thoughtful in their interactions. Questions are welcome. Comments on things behind me, things I'm working on, projects. Well, how did you do this? And where can I find? Totally up for all of that. That's what this is for, as well as for me to share. But critiquing and I don't like the way you're talking. I don't like the order in which you're talking. I need you to provide me with more of this and less of that and more of this and do it this way. No. It was creating and being here gives me such joy and peace mentally, and those types of interactions were not. If my content, ultimately, this boils down to a simple solution. If my content is not what you are looking for, if it is not working for you anymore, if it's not serving you anymore, you don't have to be here. There's so many podcasts, amazing podcasts that are offering tons and tons and tons of variety and information, and each podcaster is so unique and so different. There is content out there for everyone. I followed vloggers and podcasters for years, and over time, their content started to change. Some married, some divorced, some had children, some moved. They were knitting and now they're sewing. They're sewing and now they're knitting. Whatever it was, I didn't criticize them for it. I didn't comment on that. I just moved on and maybe watched a little bit less, or would read, well, what's this episode about? Okay, I'll read that one, or I'll watch that one, but not this one. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. It's just respecting someone's space and what they put out there. This is not easy to sit in front of a camera and talk and share and then upload and make this happen. It's not easy and it's not quick. It's a labor of love, and so many of us do it because we really do love doing it. But there's times when it just feels like, why am I doing it? Okay, 10 minutes of that. I'm done. For those of you that didn't like that I just waxed on for 10 minutes, oh well. I needed to get that off my chest. I needed to unload it. And now I can continue. Now I can share all of the good stuff. And there's lots of good stuff to share. So let's all take a moment. I'm going to take a moment and take a deep breath. And then we're going to come back and jump into the knitting. Thank you for listening to that, everybody. Thank you. Be back in a sec. Okay. Let's talk knitting. I have actually not been knitting nearly as much as I would like. I was hoping to have been much further along, as part of my plan in the beginning of the year was to finish up a lot of projects, but anyway, won't rehash that again. But I have finished a couple of things, and there's a really great sock cal that's going on right now that I'm so excited about, but I'll get to that in a second. Let's start with my Carols in the Snow socks. I'm going to put those on the blockers for you right now. Hold on, if I can detangle them. How have you all been? How have you been? What have you been working on? Share that with me in the comments. I want to know how's your year? I know we're way into it now. It's almost March. How's it going for you? Are you enjoying it? Are things going well? Please tell me, because I really do miss the joy that I do get here. So share with me and let me know what you're up to. So here are are you ready? Carols in the Snow socks. Oh my goodness. Let's pull back so you can see them. Look at those. Let's zoom in. Oh my goodness. I've said this before, and I'm going to get to all these details in a second. I've said this about this dyer before, but I'm going to say it again. This is Tiny Human Knits, and I've now rearranged my shelf back here. This is all her yarn. I've taken everything else off. This is only her yarn that I am lovingly curating. I am knitting it, but right now it's just such a lovely collection. And there's something about the way she dyes that looks like watercolors. I've said that before, but the way she goes from one color to the other and they're slightly uneven, I love it so, so much. It's just, oh my gosh, it's such a joy. It is such a comfort, and the beauty of knitting with her sock yarn. I can't even, I could go on and on. So let's talk about these socks, shall we? Oh. Yes, that is a garter stitch toe. And the heel, oh my gosh, a garter stitch heel flap with a Dutch or square heel turn. And the heel turn, hold on, let's zoom in on one. It's hard to hold both. And the heel turn I did, can you see? The heel turn I did in stockinette, and the heel flap is in garter. Let me see if I can take that off and show you a little bit better. I don't have my foot mannequin here, but it looks like this. And that is a square heel. Oh my gosh. And here is a close-up of the toe. It is a round toe. This is the toe that's in my both of my patterns, this rounded toe. And it's just, oh my goodness, it's so cute and so squishy. And I know I'm going to get the question, so let's just jump right in. How does it feel when you walk with it? Is it comfortable? Do you feel the ridges? I do not feel the ridges. It is super comfortable. I find it actually adds a little bit more like squish and padding. Just look at that. Isn't that pretty? Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. Oh, I love it so much. Here it is from the front. I don't know what that is, a little thing in the yarn. So, so pretty. And this heel, so let's talk about the heel. So let's talk about a lot of things, because now I'm back to, let's talk about the knitting. I am writing a new pattern for this heel. I had talked about this last year, but it is now, the pattern's been written and should be going out to testers, I want to say next week. At the earliest, week after next at the latest. So I'm going to be traveling and doing some things. So I'm trying to just figure out the logistics of the test knit, but it's in the works. It is happening, and there's going to be 2 variations on this heel. You will get the garter stitch heel flap, which is basically just knitting every row, and you're also going to get instructions for the Dutch or square heel in stockinette as well as in garter. So the whole heel, you're going to get two versions, or 2 modifications in the same. I'll say it again: garter stitch heel with the stockinette heel turn, and then garter stitch heel with the garter stitch heel turn. So excited. And I'm going to show you what that looks like side by side in just a second, because I have another pair of socks to show you. So yeah, beautiful. Tiny Human Knits. And again, this is Carol's in the Snow. I would check with her on her website. I will link to that down below for you, to her Etsy shop, when she will be updating with this again. I don't know. I have no control over when she updates. I would definitely check in with her and check her Etsy shop. One way to keep track of, and this is, I want to share a little bit more of this going forward. How do you know when someone's doing an update? The best thing, because the algorithm is so strange and changes, I feel like, minute to minute on Instagram, the best way to keep track of dyers, yarn dyers, and bag maker, whatever it is that you want to follow, bag makers, dyers, whatever, is to turn on the notifications on, there's a little button on Instagram. For those of you that are on Instagram, a lot of the dyers and makers also have newsletters. You can sign up for their newsletter if you're not on social media. If you are, especially Instagram, there's a little bell up in the upper right hand corner of their profile page. If you click onto that, you can turn on, notifications for posts as well as Insta Story. That way you can stay as up to date as you want to be on when shops are being updated, when new colorways are being introduced, when new products are being introduced. It's the best way to stay in touch with dyers. That's how I do it. And once I know an update is happening, I will then set an alarm on my phone. Seems like a lot of work, but if you want what you want, then you're going to take the time to do the work. I'm going to set an alarm on my phone so that I know on March 2nd, Tiny Human Knits is going to, I'm making this up, for example, the Tiny Human Knits is going to have a shop update, and I will put in the time, double check the time. Sometimes people are living all over the world, so they might say, I'm in Eastern Standard Time, I'm on the Northeast, so it's Eastern Standard Time here. I know she does AST, which I think is American Standard or Atlantic Standard Time, which is an hour behind. So then you've got some places are 2 hours ahead, behind. London is 5 hours ahead of New York. So keeping track of time zones, this is how you get the stuff you want. Just letting you know. So Carol's in the Snow, new pattern coming. So now let's take a look at this heel so you could see the 2 heels in garter stitch and stockinette. So let me get that on the needle. And again, this is the new pattern that's coming. I don't have a name for it yet. Still thinking about it. I learned a really wonderful new word from the audiobook I'm listening to. The word is alacrity, and it means with joy, with enthusiasm. So I was thinking of naming the pattern my Alacrity Socks, but it seems a little dramatic. I may go with something a little simpler. We'll see. But here, let me get the other one. So this is FO number 2. My God, I should have so many socks done by now, but my mind hasn't been there, but it's okay. So here is, okay. And you know what? I might pause and go grab my mannequin feet because I think it'll help. Here is FO number 2. Oh my gosh. Can we just look at these for a second? I love these so much. I love them. They are so rich and dark and beautiful, and the colors are, they're colorful without being bright, which I absolutely love. And here are the heels. So again, garter stitch heel flap on both. This one, if you can see, has the stockinette heel turn. This one has the full garter stitch heel turn. I hope that you can see this on the camera. So let me pause, grab my mannequin, and I will show you that up close. Okay, here we go. So I have now put the socks on my little mannequin feet. These are great for showing heels, but they're not so great because the length of the foot isn't that long, so just ignore that. But here is what it looks like. There you go. I'm trying to hold that to the camera. So they are knit exactly the same. This one looks a little bit longer because the garter stitch is just a stretchier fabric by nature. Here is the stockinette, which does appear to be a little shorter, but they are the same length. Why did I do that? Because I can. And it just gives, it will give you the knitter more options. Which one feels a little bit more comfortable for you? Garter stitch by nature is stretchier. Okay, it's just the way the fabric is created. You have, you're knitting every row, so there's more ridges, and those ridges have depth in them. So when you stretch the fabric, it is stretchier than a stockinette fabric. Did that make sense? Okay, so what that will provide, because you've got a little bit more give this way, it will also give you more give across the instep. That's what I have found. These are so comfy to wear, and I don't usually get a lot of pulling. Sometimes I do, but I find this heel to be really, really flexible, and it does give you a little bit more room across the instep. Okay. I also, to be honest with you, I also really love how they both look, and I couldn't decide. I also wanted to knit the different heels on a matching pair of socks so that I could wear them and see if I could feel the difference in my shoes. I don't. I really, really don't feel a difference. If anything, it's a little bit more squish factor, a little bit more cushioning with this one than with the garter stitch flap and turn than with this one. But it's such a minor thing. I would honestly knit either one. Yeah, I think the fit is super duper comfortable, and it's just giving you more options. So yeah, and obviously I haven't woven in, my slip is showing. I haven't woven in my ends, but that's okay. All right, I don't know why. I weave my ends in as I knit, but I don't always remember to cut them off because I don't know why. So here they are. Let me hold them this way. There you go. There are the heels. So the pattern will, like I said, hopefully, I'm hoping to get this out in the next month or so, by the time the test knit's done and everything is done. And there's going to be a lot happening in the next month or so, but I'm going to keep going in a second. So, yeah. So this is my other pair, Scrappy Socks. This is basically my shorty sock pattern. I just swapped out the heels. Okay. So let's put those here. That looks kind of cute sitting back there, and they sit so nicely. So yeah, that is it for knitting. Ugh. I've worked on a couple other things. I've been working on my white sweater, the endless white sweater that just refuses to ever be finished, and my scrappy cowl. Those have been going also, but I've also been listening to audiobooks. I just finished listening to the Lost for Words Bookshop. I'll put a picture of that here. Oh my gosh, what a good book. It was such a good story. A little bit triggering. There was domestic violence in the story. Not in graphic detail, but the trauma of it and the aftermath of it. And there was detail, don't get me wrong, but it was how the main character coped with all of that. And in movies, when an actor starts talking to the screen, starts looking and talking to the screen, it's called breaking the fourth wall. And when I found that's what the main character in the book did. Now, that's what the narrator is usually doing, telling you what she's thinking and all of that. But it's interesting for I don't know, it just felt different. It felt like that fourth wall, like she was really talking to you, the reader, to me, the reader. And I loved it. And the narrator's voice, the narrator was, so it's The Lost for Words Bookshop by Stephanie Butland. And the narrator is Imogen Church. She had the most magical voice. It was kind of husky and deep and emotional and sensitive. Oh, she brought that character to life. Nailed it. Highly recommend the book. Trigger warnings. May not be for everyone. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the other one is my ongoing audiobook is Little Women. I was inspired by the minis. Let's move those for a second. By my Advent skein, which is right there from 6th and 7th Fibers, to listen to some of the classics. And I have been listening to Little Women. And I'll admit, Little Women is very dated, for lack of a better word. And I'd love to hear, for those of you who've read it, I'd love to hear what you think. There's times when the complaints and worries and concerns of the four sisters feel so minor, like not even anything that young girls today would even think about. But yet, that pressure to fit in, the pressure to be one of the girls, the pressure to have what the other girls have, it's all still so relative. It's just, and it's so beautifully written. Oh my goodness, you just fall in love. I'm so in love with Jo and Beth's gentleness and all of that. It's so beautifully done. And I'm also a big fan of the movies. I saw the Susan, oh my God. Why am I blanking on her name? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go with the Winona Ryder. I can't remember Marmie's name, the actress name. Oh my God. Anyway, the earlier version of the film with Winona Ryder and Christian Bale, that one's my favorite. I love that version. It felt linear to me. Although the stories are still snippets of their lives, it still felt more linear. There was a newer version done a few years ago, I think 2018 or 19, with Timothy Chalamet and Saoirse Ronan and Florence Pugh. And that version of it felt very staccato. It felt very, you're here, you're here, you're here. It didn't feel like it flowed to me. And the actors all seemed a little bit too young in some cases and then too old in other cases. So I didn't love that version. I remember my best friend and I got into an argument over it because she absolutely loved it and I absolutely hated it. It's grown on me since then. But oh my gosh, we argued and argued and argued. But anyway, I love both now. The other version has grown on me. So Little Women is my ongoing. Loved The Lost for Words Bookshop. And I needed kind of a filler book right now that it's so... Ugh, but I'm plugging away because I couldn't return it to Audible. So I figured, all right, let me not waste the credit and listen. I'm listening to the Cornish cream tea bus. Has anyone read that one or listened to that one? It feels like a Hallmark movie turned into a book. Very simple, not a lot of plot development, predictable storyline, but it's entertaining me enough. There's a little Scottish, there's some Scottish accents, English accents, so it's entertaining enough that it's filling the time until my next book credit. So anyway, that's it for audiobooks. What I did explore a lot in the last month and a half or almost 2 months now was sewing. Oh, right there. I have, and yes, I'm going to talk about this sock that I'm pulling out in a second. I discovered sewing again. I sewed for years. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that. But I hadn't sewn in a long time, like really sewn something other than, my machine, and now she's uncovered, so she's been used. She's being used again. And other than the occasional, tuck in a waist something doesn't fit the kids, or putting a hem in something. I just haven't really made anything from start to finish. And my very good friend Ellen came over the other day, and she's been sewing quite a bit. I mean, all the time. She actually made this for me as a little gift. She made this, look at this, incredibly adorable little pouch, little zipper pouch with the charm pack. So a charm pack is a 5-inch pre-cut of fabric. Oh my goodness. It's just, I don't know if you could see the inside. It's got little teapots. So it's knitting and little teapots. I mean, can this be any cuter? Oh my gosh. And that is her signature green. So I love it. So it reminds me of her, and it's just so cute. And I saw this and thought, oh, I want to make one of those. I just want to make something. I want to sew something. And I wanted to do it from start to finish in one day. So I made this. Oh my gosh. I sewed this in one sitting. Now, it looks a lot bigger than it really is. I had used these are 2-inch squares, mini charm pack. So they are half the size then of the 5.5. These are of the 5s. These are 2.5. And I was going to make a little mug rug out of them, and I had the squares all sewn together so it looked like it was on a diagonal, and I was just not feeling that anymore. So I took it apart and reattached everything into this beautiful little grid here, but it wasn't wide enough, so I added the sashing on the sides and then took the sashing colors and did the back, because I don't know, why not? The front doesn't have to match the back. I just wanted it to be a really cute scrappy bag, and couldn't figure out the lining, and I went with gray, just little gray polka dots. So I wanted Grello, so now I have a Grello bag, and I have this tape. Let me see if I can show you. And the drawstring is this amazing twill tape with tape measure on it. Can it get any cuter? No, not really. So Ellen came over early in the day and dropped the kids off at school. We met here. We had some snacks. We started sewing, and I got to, the front was done, the exterior was done, the interior was done, and I just had to put it all together. But I had to leave to get the kids. Darn it. But I left everything out, and I had moved my table. I moved, not the table, the sewing machine down the hall so we could work together. And it was so much fun, and I did it. I came home and I finished it. And this pattern, so let's talk about the pattern for a second. This pattern is the Sock Sack by Ramona Rose. I will link to it down below. And I've made this. It originally comes without the handle. I added the handle. That was my modification. Does not come with a handle, and it comes with a insert, a divider. This is really for knitting socks. It's the sock sack. So it's for knitting socks, whether 2 at a time or just to have your socks divided inside the bag. And the panel runs this way, so horizontally across the bag. So you can have one sock on one side, one sock on the other, and you can knit 2 at a time. And the insert comes with or without a zipper. The pattern is so amazing. So there's 3 sizes, 2 options for the insert, and it is so well put together. Lots and lots of pictures. I think there's also a link to a video tutorial on Vimeo. I haven't watched it in years. I assume it's still active because the pattern is still available. So I would think the videos are still active for actual visual instructions on how to sew in, because it's a little bit tricky on how to sew the divider pouch in. It's not hard, you just have to go slowly. So I didn't bother with the insert because the bag is small enough that you can have 2 socks in there going without it, and I just wanted to get it done. But I did add the little handle so that I could cinch it shut, still have the opening so the yarn will come through, but I can have it on my wrist so I can knit as I go. Or what I like to do is just put a little carabiner and attach it to my backpack so that I can always have my knitting with me. What numbers did I use for this? I just kind of made it up. I made this the same length as the tubing for the cord, the little channel for the cord. It's the same length, but instead of folding it in half, I fold it in fours. So in half and then in half again, just to make it a little sturdier. And then I did, what do you call it? Why am I blanking? Oh my gosh, I'm so blanking on all of my sewing terms right now. See, that's how out of practice I am. But I just did little like 1/8 stitching on the ends here. Just again to fortify it a little bit. So here is my little bag, and I love it so much. And what's inside are all of these beautiful little minis. So the little minis are all Opal minis. Aren't they gorgeous? I mean, they're just, let's pull some more of them out. Hold on. Oh, aren't they all pretty? Of course, that string is hanging there, but these are all Opal minis. I purchased them. This was an advent from Purple Circle Yarn Company. I'll put her name here on the screen. And she has in her Etsy shop, she sells Opal minis all year round. So that's where I got these. And I have just tons and tons and tons of Opal minis that I've just been collecting over the years. So one sock is done. Let me pop this on a blocker here for you. And why am I knitting these? These are for the Easy Peasy. This is the cal I mentioned in the beginning. These are I'm knitting these for the Easy Peasy Scrappy Sock cal that is being hosted by Jen Yard, who is Everything Shapes Us on Instagram. And I love them. Look at that. Oh my gosh. If you looked up, if you could turn a sock, if the word happiness could be translated into an actual object, it would be this. It would be this sock. Oh my gosh. It's just, it's scrappy. It's beautiful. It's colorful. I had this mini in my stash, so I just pulled the mini out from, it's actually a Tiny Human Knits mini from a collection, and I just wanted a yellow heel. It's a shadow wrap short row heel. And I love it. So I've started the second one. Here's the second one. Let me pop this off here. This is a little, I couldn't find one of my motivation markers because I was just running out the door the other day. So I just popped on one of these. Can you see that? Is that clear? I hope that you can see it. It says sock knitter, and it's got a little scrappy sock on it. Oh my gosh, I hope you can see it. There, without my fingers being in the way. There it is. And this came as a set, a little sock knitter set, and this is by A Needle Runs Through It. I'll put this I'll link to her shop in the description box below. And the description box, because this is a question I've also gotten, where's the description box that you're always talking about? If you're looking at your YouTube channel and you're watching this video, if you just scroll down a little bit, there is a box. You might have to open it. Sometimes you'll see like the beginning of an intro, and then you'll see the word more. If you click on that, a whole big box will open up with my contact information, where you can find me, the shop, and all of the notes and links to everything that I talk about in the video. So yeah, there is that. So I am now, here is the second sock. Oh my goodness, look at that. These socks are so colorful and beautiful, but without being bright, which works for me. I don't like very, very bright colors. And this is bright, but without being like, ooh, that's bright. Sort of muted, which I absolutely love. And they are scrappy. So here, if I turn this without messing up my needle. So here we go. Totally scrappy. Love them. Love them so, so much. So I am currently working on the heel, or not turning the heel, but working on the shadow wrap heel right now. So here's the ball, and that's what I'm working on. This does not have a color name. These minis do not have names. They are just, or did she have names on them? Some of them had names, but I pulled all the tags off, so I couldn't tell you what was what. But if you go to her shop, Gail is the curator of the shop, and she has all of these minis there, and you can just pick what you like. And again, this does not have a color. It was part of a mini set by Tiny Human Knits. So I just liked it. If you've got a little scrappy ball, you can do your heels, different color, same color. It's completely up to you. And the Scrappy Cal, like I said, it is on Instagram, and it's running from February 18th. So it started last Saturday and is running from February 18th until March 31st, until the end of March. So yeah, and I have one more sewing thing to show you. So everything is usually tucked into my bag. So I will fold this in half, and this gets folded and everything gets chucked in the bag, and then my needles get chucked in. Oops, the ball fell. The needles get chucked in the bag. But what's happened sometimes, and my kids have been complaining, is the needles will poke through the bag. And I just, whether it's this project bag or the other ones, I use Matterroot main bags a lot. I don't want to damage the bags. I also don't want to hurt my children. So I said, you know what? Another quick project was this. What is this, you ask? This is a needle minder. It is a DPN cozy. It has the snaps, and of course I had to, yeah, you see, it matchy. So this fabric, I had some left over, so I just used that because it required very, very little. I will link to both of these patterns for you down below. And this is a double pointed needle keeper. That is the actual name of the pattern, and it is by the Nome knitter. That is her name on Instagram. And I don't think she has a written, she might have an actual written pattern that you can purchase. I've never used that. I use her tutorial. She has a blog entry with a step-by-step tutorial on the blog. So it's still photos with instructions, very, very clear. All of the measurements, it's very clear, easy to understand. I will link to that down below also. She explains how to use the little, these are cam snaps that she uses. And this is what she used. I found a tutorial because I have a cam snap kit, but forgot how to use it because I haven't used it in ages. So I just looked that up. She tells you exactly how to line up the snaps, the positioning. This little label I had made. Isn't it cute? Is that backwards here? Oh, there. Okay, there. I think that one's going the right way. I had these little labels made for my bags. Years ago, when I first started my No Fear sock knitting, I did have the intention of selling bags on my shop, but it was just unrealistic and not sustainable. It's just too much work for me to do, or rather, work I didn't want to do. I realized it would have been more than I wanted to take on. So, but I had the labels made, so I just kind of popped them into things. Of course, I made this with such excitement that I forgot to put the tag in, but that's okay. I can sew it on the inside, or, just open a seam and then just reattach, reclose, or sew the seam shut if I wanted, but it doesn't matter. It's just for me, for my pleasure. So how does this actually work? Let me show you. So I will take this, and I will take, it's a little bit easier if I have, you know what, let me show you, hang on. Had to pick up the ball. I'll pause and I'll show you in a sec. So I did have another whip, because we're knitters and we always have tons and tons of whips, or many of us do, I shouldn't say all. I started working on this sock. I'll stop talking. I'll just give you a minute to take it all in. Can you just hear the angels singing? It's so beautiful. This is the 2022 Advent Skein by Woolens and Nosh. And I had it over there. All of my Advents and everything I decided to put in baskets. I'll turn the camera so you could see. There. Let's move this out of the way. And I just wanted them out. I wanted to keep them out because I loved the look of them. I love seeing them. So I also knew that I wanted to get to them this year, sooner rather than later. So I cast this on also, but then got distracted by the Scrappy Cal, and I cast this on. So I wanted to show you how the DPN cozy works. So I will just fold the needles over like this. pop them in and squeeze shut. And this one works a little. What I don't always like about the cam snaps is sometimes they work, sometimes they're a little bit temperamental, I find. I've had some that work perfectly and others like I kind of have to struggle, like I'm struggling with this. I showed this on Instagram and someone asked if I was going to be selling these in the shop. No, because the main reason, they are really, really quick to make. They really are. And I think it would be a fun addition, but I don't like that the snaps are not always predictable. So once you punch the holes in, and you'll see this in the pattern, once you punch the holes into the fabric to insert these cam snaps, if it doesn't work and I've squeezed the cam snap, it's very hard to pry back apart and could potentially damage the holder. So, and you won't know if it's going to work until you do it. So I don't know how much I would waste. It just feels, they're unpredictable. If I can find another way or another snap option, maybe down the line, possibly. But there's no plan. I don't have any plans to have any of this in the shop right now. Yeah, that may or may not change, but that's where I am right now. But I really wanted to share this with you because there are many of you out there that do so. And if you are so inclined, you can make these yourself. This is a very quick project. If you are an experienced sewer or sewist, if you are new, it's a great beginner project. It's all straight lines. There's no, I hear somebody at the door. There's no curves. There's no fancy seams. It's really, really easy. And you don't have to put the label in. It doesn't originally come with the label. It's just the keeper. So that's one. This is one option. And then I just fold this down, tuck it right into my bag. And I'm using my Matterroot bag here. Another way to put the needles in, such a satisfying, and the snap is so satisfying. So another way that you can put them in is to hold the needles like this and slide them in this way. Snap and snap. And there you go. So you can hold them like that. I'm not always a big fan of this. The needles can get a little bent depending on how long you keep this in your bag. If it's a project that you're steadily working on, it's not going to make a difference. And it may not make a difference long term either, but I don't know that I would store them in this configuration for long term. But yep, they fit right in there. So if you had double pointed needles across the top, you would just click them onto your double pointed needle, roll it, tuck it right in your bag. But I'm a circular girl, so same basic principle. You're just keeping your needles and everything tucked in. You pop them right in your bag. No more poking. And the pattern also has you reinforce the exterior with an interfacing. I just used a medium weight, I think it's an FS10, I could be wrong, I don't remember the number, but just standard interfacing that you would get at a craft store. I bought mine from Joann's, and that's what I lined the exterior fabric with, just to give it a little more reinforcement, so it's a little bit sturdier. And there you have it. So 2 sewing projects. There has been actually more knitting now that I'm saying it out loud than I thought, just not a lot of completed projects, but I think it was more the comfort of knitting that I've needed lately rather than the finished product. And yeah, that is pretty much everything. Just a wee bit of shop news. I have ordered new motivation markers for the shop. So I have my older ones. Some of the older ones I'm keeping, some of them I'm phasing out. So those will probably be going on sale and at a discounted price. Don't know what that is yet. The older favorites, those will stay. And then I'm adding a couple of new ones to the shop. And there's also going to be, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? A new EarthtonesGirl colorway. I am ridiculously excited about that. That was something that I worked on during this time period to sort of re-energize myself as well, and I'm really excited about it. I have seen a sample. There's going to be a custom marker to go with it. I'm not announcing the name or anything yet. You will see it soon. We had to tweak and it's being done again by Michelle of Woolens and Nosh. We are collaborating again. Oh my gosh, it is perfection. So I can't wait to share that with you. Very, very different, still striping, but very different from my fall colorway, the Falling in Love colorway. So yeah, that will be coming to the shop in April. The markers will be probably a little bit sooner than that, and then there will be a pattern. So I'm here, everybody. I will hold on to my mental peace. I will hold on to my why. I will remember my why, and I will continue to do this my way, which for many of you enjoy. And yeah, we're just gonna go forward. So kind of a long episode. Thank you for letting me share in the beginning. That felt really, really good to, like I said, to be honest and to talk that out. So there you have it. Earth Tones Girl, I'm here. I am so grateful to be here with you all today. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back soon. The sewing beast has been awakened. So there'll be more sewing projects, and yeah, I have a feeling like there's only so many of these bags. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to put anything out there until it's out there. So thank you all very, very much. I think I'm starting to lose the light, so I will end this episode, but I will see you all again very soon. No more. There's not going to be a long gap again. I will be back very soon. Thank you so much, everybody. I love this community. I love this channel. And I'm happy to be back here with you. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all again soon. Bye.